I'm feeling so much better. Had some food, feeling like I'm ready to have a snooze now. Oh, hang on, that's right. I've still got to do some work. I keep forgetting sometimes. I've got this YouTube channel, right, that I live stream on. So sometimes I actually have to do stuff late at night. So we're gonna. Oh, no. There's an ad. Am I going to learn anything from this? Probably not. Okay, all right, just doing my sound check. Seems to be working out all right, so it's coming through. All right, sound is working fine. Okay, so if you're rewatching this live stream, you will find the start time down in the description, because that's what I do on my channel. I put my start time down there just so I can get past all of my waffle and my setup. Now, if you've never been part of my live streams before, what I normally do is I present everything first, and then once I've presented everything, I then open it up for questions, answers, poses, feedback, just say hi, that sort of thing. What's that, dear Jesus? Coming in clear on this end. Oh, good news, good news. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm ready. I might have a drink of water. Got to make sure I wet the palate. I wouldn't want my singing voice to get damaged in any way. Not that I'm going to be doing any singing. Okay, let's get started, shall we? All right, it's business time. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm not really going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Suggestion, the spell, although you could take this Dungeons and Dragons meme and use it for your own purposes. It's completely up to you. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, well, this is like a player guide or a player tip, or what would you call it? I would call it a player guide or a player tip. Some juicy tidbits for you so you can survive and have a good time at your Dungeons and Dragons table, which I'm sure you're going to be doing shortly if you're playing a game weekly or fortnightly or something like that. So, what's the deal? Well, the deal is, my player tip for today is feed your Dungeon Master, don't feed the monsters. Feed your Dungeon Master, do not feed the monsters. Now, what the heck are you on about, Fred? Well, as it happens, I've believed this for many years, but I thought it was quite interesting because I've seen a few articles on YouTube, not YouTube, on the internet, and I think I saw like two videos on YouTube, and I thought I definitely want to talk about this. So to all those people playing Dungeons and Dragons, it is absolutely vital that you look after your Dungeon Master. They are a precious commodity. There's not a lot of them. There's more players than there are Dungeon Masters. So it really comes down to this. There just aren't enough people being Dungeon Masters. So to keep them happy, you really need to feed them. Feed them, look after them. Make sure you cater to their every whim. Well, not every single whim, but one of these whims is definitely food. And food is something that people need, and I would suggest making sure you feed your Dungeon Master foods that they like, and this will help improve their whole demeanor and way of sort of thinking and operating at your game table. So what are some of the benefits that you might achieve by feeding your Dungeon Master more often and providing them with foods that they like? Well, I would say they will keep you at the table. You know, that's the big thing, is they'll keep you at the table. They won't say, I don't really like that player. I've got too many people at my table as it is. I will kick this one out. The Dungeon Master's mood will probably improve because they're not worrying about what's there in their stomach or the lack of something in their stomach. You'd be surprised just how much weight food has. Food has a huge amount of weight when it comes to people. It certainly shifts and moves mountains. I've certainly found that in my own job recently. The Dungeon Master will subconsciously look more favorably upon the fate of your characters. Maybe not so much yourself. No, I'm only kidding. No, but your characters. Really, we don't want your character dying every single session, do we? I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that I'm right about this one. But yes, I would say that your Dungeon Master, I know I would look more favourably upon a player's character if they feed me. It's hard not to do. The highlight for a Dungeon Master will be not just your excellent role-playing and the fact that you showed up on time and that you are a good player. It will also be your very generous nature, because you've showed up with some extra pizza or a burger or some junk food that they particularly like, and you're sharing it with them and the group, which I think is something you want to duplicate as much as you possibly can. Okay. A happy Dungeon Master is much more fun to be around. Fundamentally, happiness starts with your stomach and then it goes to everywhere else. You start with the stomach, definitely food. I have found in my own job the amount of pull and significance that food has in culture is huge. It's absolutely huge. Bribing the Dungeon Master might seem a little bit underhanded. I know what you're thinking, Fred, that's really underhanded, but bribing the Dungeon Master with foods that they like will certainly make the session run more smoothly for you. And that is what you want. You want a smooth session, keep your character alive, maybe get to pick up a few juicy magic items or a little bit more treasure. They might be more favourable towards you just because of that. The Dungeon Master already brings so much to the table, and the least that most players can actually do is to actually bring along some food and feed them. Feed them for their efforts. They've gone to a lot of effort to actually do this in the first place, which is why I'm suggesting bring them food. Okay, so here's the thing that I find interesting, and that is, if the Dungeon Master is not buying food to feed themselves, this is one of the good aspects of it. If the Dungeon Master is not buying food to feed themselves because you're buying them food, that means they have more money available to go and spend on those monster miniatures and the maps and the dice, those cool dice that he shows up with, or she shows up with, or whoever is your Dungeon Master. Maybe the house pet is doing your Dungeon Mastering at your table, I don't know. But this is the thing, they have more money available. Maybe that particular adventure you wanted to play, they can now afford to buy because you have provided them with a whole lot of additional food they don't have to pay for anymore. It shows your appreciation, so that really when a Dungeon Master has like a bad day or a rough session or a difficult day at work or at school or whatever it is, or just a difficult game session, they keep coming back. That's what you want, is you want your Dungeon Master to keep coming back. So appreciating your Dungeon Master, saying thank you, but providing food is a very smart move, and I highly recommend doing it as often as you possibly can. Okay, now, when your Dungeon Master opens up their particular scene for a combat, and they have to maybe they've selected a monster in advance, maybe rather than the Rancor, I know what you're thinking, Fred, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, not Star Wars, maybe the Rancor that they had planned to use, or the big dragon, will get replaced with something else. Maybe they'll move that out of the way and maybe replace it with something that's less likely to wind up chewing them up, because who hasn't rewatched Return of the Jedi and watched the Rancor chewing and swallowing down those guards? I know I have many times, and it just, as a Dungeon Master, you just can't help yourself thinking, oh, I'd really like to do that in my adventure as well. Maybe they'll replace it with something like a giant worm. Giant worm's not such a great example, because yet again, the same problem with being swallowed. So we'll replace that with something like, maybe they'll replace it with just an air elemental. Now you're just going to get knocked around, bumped around, hurled here, there and everywhere. Not quite so bad. At least there'll be something left of your body, and you won't need to worry about having to use true resurrection or something like that, or reincarnate. It's always a little bit sort of messy, isn't it, really? You can go with your raised dead if there's at least a complete body, rather than having to sort of scour through the dung and the leftovers that have come out the back of some sort of horrible monster. So that's everything I have for today. So hopefully you found it interesting and educational, maybe a little bit entertaining, Please share and like the video. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the bell button to be notified when I am live, which I am right now, and when I publish new videos. Now, if you want to support my channel, you did so by watching this video. And gosh, if you've stayed for the entire thing, you did pretty well. I have hundreds more videos for players and dungeon masters, and you are welcome to go and check them out. There's a player's guide, and there's also a player's tip series as well. So for those of you who are more players and not dungeon masters, maybe that's more your speed. Now, I don't do Patreon, but down in the description you'll find affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon. You know the story with these, okay? I get a small commission, you pay exactly the same price, and you just buy the stuff you would normally buy. And if you don't use online shopping, then don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Now, this is your opportunity to ask questions, give feedback. Maybe you want to disagree with me. Maybe you want to add something else that I have missed. There's always that possibility. Maybe you just want to say hi, or maybe you want to say, bye Fred, I'm gone. You can do that. This is what the live chat box is all for. But if you're not here for live chat, then don't worry. That's what YouTube has provided us with, a comment section down below. So use that comment section down below. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. I feel like I may have tried to go far too quickly with this particular video. I got a little bit tongue-tied near the end there. Just give me a second while I have a drink of water. I think I was trying to go for, let's get it done in under 10 minutes. And yeah, maybe not such a great idea. But anyway, look, give me a second. I will pull back my screen, and we will we'll have a little chat in the live chat box, because that's why it's there, right? We're supposed to use the live chat for those very purposes, and hence that's exactly what we will do. We'll have a little chat and a discussion, and sort of, you know, maybe you can tell me the favorite foods that your dungeon master likes to eat, and you have figured all this sort of stuff out. I think it's actually an important question. You know, the meaning of life is important, but what foods your dungeon master likes is even more important. Okay, all right, switching back over, and let's have a look at the live chat. Dear Jesus is here. Hello, Scott. Hello, how are you doing, mate? Okay, snacks are key. Exactly, snacks are key. I was thinking, you know, why haven't people not made more videos on this topic? It's a no-brainer. You don't have to argue with the dungeon master. You don't have to sort of, you know, get into sort of heated arguments and discussions and banter or debate, or, you know, it's just feed them the food they like, and everything goes a lot smoother. Okay, what do you got here, dear Jesus? It's funny, I prefer to go without food when I DM. Ah, okay. So I stay focus and keep my stuff clean. But once I hit that 4-hour mark, I need that food. Yeah, well, that's right, because the stomach is starting to go grumble, 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 grumble. So I totally get it. I know that I try not to eat too much food when I first start, but I know I've got to have it at some point. Okay, are there any players in the room? I don't know. I have actually no idea. I hope that players are going to watch this particular video, not just the dungeon masters, because I really want players to watch this video, not the dungeon masters. Dolphus, how's it going? Made it for the end. Yes, you did. Good timing. I had a DM question. Dear Jesus, you are welcome to ask your question while I am still here. So fire away. Fire away. There's still time. There's only 6 characters here, and I'm sure that the Rancor can't eat all of them in the time frame. Okay, what do we got here? Dear Jesus, after the red brand hideout, my players left some red brand NPCs alive. Later, after a 10-day, I had the NPC spot some of the red brand going in and out of Hella's Miners Exchange. Yes, okay, all right. So, what's the question? You've given me some background, so I'm assuming that you're trying to set it up so there's an opportunity for your players' characters to actually figure out that maybe the Miners Exchange is in league with the red brands. I'm assuming that's you're dropping that hint, right? So just let me know what your question is, dear Jesus, and we'll go from there. What's that, Scott? It's a good way to contribute to the group. I try to bring snacks often. Yes, I always bring something. I always try to bring something. I think currently I'm not very good at figuring out what Jean Paul likes, and he tends to bring his own snacks. So the dungeon master that I'm playing with right now, I'm not dungeon mastering myself at present. It's difficult to figure out exactly what he likes. So yes, but that's definitely something you've got to figure out. Makes a big difference. I know I've had dungeon masters who really love pizza, burgers. I've had groups bring in, somebody will shout everybody pizza and bring in about 2 or 3 pizzas or burgers. I've seen people bring in mead. Now that's that honey alcohol. And gosh, we had a lot of fun with that. I tell you, the dungeon master was very happy, and so was everybody else. You share it round, right? Dolphus, but diets make snacks hard sometimes. Yes, they do. Well, see, there's the thing, it's not necessarily going to be junk food. Sometimes it's just going to be snack foods that people like and enjoy. I've seen people just make a variety of different vegetable sticks and some sort of dips. So yeah, it really sort of depends. I've had chopped up fruit at the table before. It all works well. Right, dear Jesus, what have you got here? They might go confront her with Silda Hallwinter or the red brand, but I don't have a whole lot of info on the Zentarum relationship with the Lord's Alliance. Okay, the Zents are the Black Network, so they are pretty underhanded. They don't always have bad intentions. Often the way they go about doing stuff is a little bit darker than some of the other factions. That's really, what I would suggest is often you'll find that the Zentarum have exactly the same goal as the Lord's Alliance, exactly the same goal. It might be stability within the area, but the only difference is that the way they go about doing that is different. In other words, they would be prepared to kill somebody or to bribe somebody or break the law if it will achieve the goal they want. Not only that, they are not against the idea of setting up people in positions of power. So yes, just often have the same goals, just a different way of getting there. Okay, what's that, Eric? One time as a DM, I baked brownies. In the session that night, they encouraged an NPC who was a hippie herbalist. Man, dude, I just baked. Try one, but just try one. Yeah, I think, Eric, though, I think this video was more about, although I like the story, it was more about getting the players to actually bring the food and feed the dungeon master. I've had people come in and they'll bake a cake if it's the dungeon master's birthday. I've had that happen. I had somebody bake me muffins. I think I showed up, we were playing in a cafe one day and somebody had shouted me whatever I wanted from the cafe, so I could just go up and he would just pay for everything, which was really nice. Only problem is I have a lot of dietary issues, so I couldn't really buy very much. And the one thing I could have, they didn't have in stock that day. It was a bit strange, but hey, it is what it is. Scott, my DM lost 100 pounds. Healthy snacks are what we do. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be junk food. It can be healthy snacks. I've seen lots of people make pretty extensive snack foods, and sometimes it's as simple as just crackers and cheese, or like I said, fruit, or vegetable sticks or something like that. And the only difference is they've come along with like a dip or something else to go with it that makes it a little bit more interesting, so it's not quite so boring. Vegetable sticks can be a bit dull unless you've got something to sort of stick it in and make it taste a bit better, right? Okay, dear Jesus, I wish there was more info on the different orders in Lost Mine of Phandelver, but I guess they elaborate more on them in other books. Yes, they do. I don't know that I will do a video on the factions for the Lost Mine of Phandelver. I don't feel that it's necessary. I will be doing a video. I don't know if I'm necessarily doing the Miners Exchange anytime soon. It's probably going to be a while off, that one. It could be at least a month or more, so it won't be any good to you. But my suggestion to you is just jump on and just Google Zentarum, and that'll lead you in the right direction at least. Most of that information's on the internet. Okay, Scott, what do you got here? We do pizza on our player's birthday. Well, yeah, I think that's quite cool. I know that I will buy a gift for players and for my dungeon master. And of course, the way I purchase things, I tend to it's not so much necessarily food, but it'll be just a gift. But I think that's just a way of sort of showing that I appreciate what you do. But food is a really good thing because it's always something that people need, right? You've always got to have it, otherwise you fade away. Dolphus, what do you got here? DM do so much work for the game. Yes, food need to be one less thing. Exactly. Yep. I know as a dungeon master, I used to host dungeon master, so everybody would come to my place, and then I would also provide food. And after a while, I started to realize, it's a real drag when you're doing everything. Plus, you're preparing the adventure. Plus, you're trying to run everything. And then, of course, the mess. When everybody would leave, I'd have all this mess to clean up. So that's one thing that I would always suggest to players to do, and that is, clean up the mess, particularly if you're playing at the dungeon master's house. Yeah, clean up the mess that the food makes at the end. Do the dishes, things like that. Hi Matt, how's it going? I'm trying to reward my players. I'm trying to reward my players from a small side quest that I threw in. What is too strong or too weak for level 3? Okay, Matt. That's a big question, Matt. Look, at level 3, you can probably go and just use the formula that has been provided in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But you could just jump onto there's an online app or piece of software or online site called Kobold Fight Club. And if you go and stick in your numbers, it will tell you if the monster is going to be too strong or too weak for level 3 players. Okay, you put in the number of players that you have at your table, you put in the number on what level they are, and you can also split it. So if you have some players who are level 3 and who are level 2 or level 4, you can make those arrangements, and then you just select a monster and set your difficulty, and it will tell you what sort of difficulty it's going to be. Once you get past level 5, then using the mathematics is just going to be a waste of time. So also too, you've got to understand that even using that formula doesn't take into consideration the level of skill. I have seen skilled players at level 3 do things that even level 6 players who are new could never do. So that's the big difference, is the skill level of your players can't be calculated in any kind of formula. Hopefully that answered your question, Matt. I don't honestly know. See, I'm not going to pull out a monster for you because I don't know what the side quest is, so I don't know what sort of monster would be appropriate for the location anyway, and therefore giving you a level for them isn't going to make much sense either. Hopefully that's enough information. All right, dear Jesus, the less grease the better, unless you're okay, grease up your player sheet and dice. Laugh out loud. Well, you know, grease can be a bit of a problem at the table, and with your books, right? Grease is always more troublesome. But, you know, the idea is you eat the food first, you go and you wash your hands and clean up, and then you play the game. You don't have to necessarily be eating all that food while you're playing. But yes, grease while you're playing at the same time can be a bit messy. All right, Matt, I went a tad off book and they ate it up. Oh, okay. But I'm a tad afraid to open it up to my own thing. Well, Matt, you tell me a little bit more about your side quest and I will get the monster manual and we'll have a look at some possible options. How's that sound? Okay? Dear Jesus, Matt, depends on your group. Murder hobos will kill what needs to be killed. Killed. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Dolphus, yeah. Something low level. Something fun. I was taking about... what? Matt? I was talking about rewards for the quest, like magic item. Kind of pondering a cursed item. Okay, alright. Here's the thing for me. Now, you don't have to take my advice, but I feel like magic items before level 4 or 5 are a bad idea, because a magic item has such a significant effect on the game. You can literally play Dungeons and Dragons with no magic items and you would be fine. So cursed magic items, and I'm not against giving out cursed magic items. Often about 90% of my magic items are cursed and 10% aren't. So that can be a bit tricky for the players. But I wouldn't do that with new players. So are they new players? Are they new to the game? Or are they experienced players? Have they been playing a long time? Those are really important questions. Just don't throw them a rust monster. That'll upset everybody. Look, rust monsters are really a piece of cake nowadays. They're kind of a bit lame. So I wouldn't worry about the rust monsters quite so much myself. Goggles of dark vision. Yes, now everybody has to doesn't have to worry about carrying a light source and giving away their position. Yeah, I don't know about magic items so much. Monsters, yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily answered your question. I certainly have tried. I will grab the monster manual if that will help you. But yes, I would stick to dropping magic items if you drop magic items for level 3 characters that are consumable, things that will get used up, that have like one use. Potions are good. Even a scroll is good because they can be used by your magic users and your wizard and so forth. Things that don't get used often. Things that they will find useful but can't be used consistently, like weapons and so forth. Remember, you know, honestly, almost all of the classes can deal with something not being magical. Alright, dear Jesus. Human rogue's bane is seeing in the dark. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Well, you know, a human shouldn't be able to see in the dark. They get enough as it is. They don't need it. Never-ending soap. Dolphus, I love it. Never-ending soap. I don't know that they'll necessarily be that happy about it. What's that, Matt? Okay, I'll give them a scroll that looks like arcane rubbish. That night they have a terrible nightmare and the wizard hears a voice that says, "Come to me." They are a few new. Okay. Yeah. So they're new. So they won't abuse the items. Yeah, look. So look, scrolls are always nice because they are things that you can be used, and then once they've used, they're gone. Okay. have I answered all your questions? Oh, that's right. I was going to grab the monster manual and select you a monster for your level 3 characters. Now, you need to give me, Matt, an idea of the type of location you're at. You know, what's the side quest about? You know, the environment is all I need to know. I just need to know what sort of environment. Is it a desert? Is it a forest? Is it a swamp? What sort of environment? That's really the key thing. All right, give me a second. It's funny how we get off topic when we're talking about feeding the dungeon master and not the monsters. But it's always fun. Kind of enjoy this. Want that one, and I want... Alright. Yeah. Okay, I've got some books. Let's have a look here. You've got me an environment, and you're level 3. So let's have a look. Ping, 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 ping. Ha, ha, ha. Righto-hoo. What do we got here? Alright, so monsters. Something Arctic, so an Arctic or a cold location. You could go with a manticore or a winter wolf or a yeti, even a veteran. It really depends on the location. Is there any low-level demons? Oh my gosh, Matt. I ain't stumbling upon a group summoning a demon of some kind. Okay, alright, so you're looking for demons. I feel like cultists are going to be a better idea than using a demon, but let's have a look for demons at level 3. Demons at level 3 that aren't... The problem is that demons have an awful lot of... resistances and damage immunities. So, and you know, you really do with demons, you often find you do have to have a magic item or use magic against them, and often demons have magic resistance, so they get advantage on saving throws, which can really bollock things up. So let's have a look. Demons, dragons. No, yeah. Oh. Is it? That's devils. We want demons. Demons. Alright, somebody's just told me that I've done the worst review ever. Okay, oh, that's good to know. Thank you very much. What's that, Matt? Fair enough. Maybe they stop ritual and fight cultists. I feel like that's... yeah, I mean... Look, it's not like I haven't thrown a dragon at level 1 characters before. But I did that in the first 15 minutes and totally expected things to go completely haywire, but the difference is I just let them get their characters resurrected and just continue on, because I knew it was rough. It wasn't like I made it easy, and it's trying to escape from a dragon sounds like, oh, that would be, well, you know, it's not always that simple. So, okay, so let's have a look at the demons, but I feel like your environment is really important. If you know what sort of environment it is, if it's just the general wild, then that's a bit different, but we can get somewhere. So, see, this is the thing, is that all the demons are such high level. You can't have a Baylor, that would be ridiculous. You've got, no, that's way too powerful, that'll crush them like a bug, that'll crush... Dretch, the old Dretch, they're only like a quarter challenge rating. They're only worth like 50 XP or experience points. They're pretty, you know, they've got some damage resistance. It's cold, fire, and lightning, and they're immune to poison. But the bonus is they don't have that many hit points, and they do have multi-attack. But their multi-attack is pretty weak. You know, they get a +2 to hit, which means they're probably not going to hit very often. And they do on average about 3 points of damage for their bite and about 5 points of damage with a claw. And they get to make a bite and a claw. So as long as you don't throw too many at them all at once, it would work out fine. So a Dretch, you could use a Dretch if you wanted a demon. No, leave that alone. Gristo, no, not that one. No, that's too nasty as well. No, oh, hang on, mate. A mains, that's really low level. That's like a 1/8 challenge rating, and they've got some resistances and immunities as well, but the difference is they've got a lot fewer hit points. They're really easy to hit, and they only get one attack. It's like a blobby creature. It's on page 60 of the monster manual. You could use those. Those are demons, and not nearly as scary and difficult as some of the other ones that are available. They are a 7-man or person party, so I feel like that changes it. 7. Yep, okay. All right, well, I would go with, you could use the mains, but I think you can probably go with the dretches. Try the dretches out. They should be fine. Anything else? A Quaza, the problem is with a Quaza is it's a challenge rating 1, but it's got so few hit points, even a level 1 character might actually kill the whole thing in one blow. They do have a lot of damage resistances, and you have to be using a magical weapon to actually get past them in terms of bludgeoning, piercing and slashing. But they only have 7 hit points, so if you're using magic, you're all good. Only problem is magical beings or creatures or demons that can go invisible can cause a lot of trouble as well. So yeah, maybe not so much a Quaza. I feel like the dretches are the best option, really. Everything else might just cause too much trouble. Even something like a shadow demon. If you're going to use a shadow demon, I've seen a shadow demon make a complete mess of a party. You would only ever consider using 1. And I wouldn't even bother doing it if they are inexperienced players, because they will not be able to manage. Okay, all right, what do we got here? Yeah, Scott, yeah, a Quaza or an imp. The imps are really not a combat monster. Imps are really not combat monsters. I don't even feel like a Quaza is that much of a combat monster. But yeah, something like a dretch, that is a combat monster. Matt, you're welcome. I'm glad I was able to help. If I have helped you. You'll only know once it all unfolds. Okay. Alright. Yeah, the problem with, dear Jesus, the idea of bringing in a really powerful creature and have it fight for 1 or 2 rounds is they will probably kill a level 3 character in 1 round. And if they get 2 rounds of combat, then they'll probably kill 2 characters. So if that's what you're going for and you've got players who are up for it, that's great. But if they're not, no, I'm not sure about that at all. Dear Jesus, don't forget you can alter the stats, so I would use what fits. Yes, you can. You always change the monsters once the players get used to what's in the monster manual. New players, you don't need to change things around too much, but if you needed to sort of trim things down, you can always do that. And yes, everybody's given you a whole bunch of good ideas. Dear Jesus has been working overtime. Scott, invisible may provide some difficulties here. I've always found that invisibility can really mess things up for anybody. So yes, I would be reluctant to do it with new players, even with a 7-person team. Okay, alright, so we have talked about feeding your Dungeon Master so that your Dungeon Master doesn't feed your characters to their monsters. And, and I am going to go and head off and take a break. So yes, have a good night, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, look after your family, look after yourself, and till next time, I will see you later.